How is it possible to turn turkey grease into biodiesel? Well, Mike Kazz is back with me to show us how to convert fats to fuel. Mike, could you tell us a little bit about converting vegetable oil into biodiesel?
Yes, this is vegetable oil, used vegetable oil from the kitchen, from my kitchen in fact. And what you have to do is heat it up to about 140 degrees Fahrenheit. And then what we're going to do, we've been heating it for a while, so we're going to turn this mixer on. We've got a little magnetic stir bar in there. We've got to get it mixed up. We're going to put on our safety glasses. And we're going to add a chemical called methyl alcohol and a catalyst. So you need heat, methyl alcohol, and a catalyst. And what we're going to be doing is stripping off the glycerine molecule from the oil. That's what makes the oil so thick. So this is methyl alcohol and a catalyst, and we're going to add it in here and mix it up.
And the alcohol is at room temperature?
The alcohol is at room temperature, so it'll take a minute or two for it to catch up and get to the same temperature of the oil, but not too long. It's already starting to change color, and so what's happening right now is the oils are big molecules. And the reason some folks run oils in their car, but that's not necessarily a good thing in their diesel engine, like Rudolph Diesel did in the first diesel engine, but the problem with that is the oil's very thick, engine's like a very low viscosity fuel. And what we're doing with this conversion is stripping that glycerin backbone off the glycerides, the oils and the fats, and leaving behind methyl esters, which is biodiesel.
What happens to the glycerin when you're done with it then?
What happens when we're done with the glycerin is we typically can send it to a refiner and it's turned into soaps. It can be turned into food grade glycerins. Glycerin's typically nice and clear. The glycerin we're going to see here at the end is going to be an amber in color. Oftentimes glycerin is used for palliative things to keep the dust down if it's unrefined, so there's a lot of different uses for glycerin.
And at your facility, Mike, you're doing it on a much grander scale than this. How large are the VATS or the devices
Reactors.
you're using? Yes, the reactors.
The reactors we use are about 350 gallons. So they're about the size of this table and about as tall as you and I, so they're pretty good sized vessels. And the idea behind a larger reactor is you can produce more volume. We produce semi-continuously, and we have a 2 million gallon a year plant. So up to 2 million gallons annually is what we can permitted to produce.
And when you're converting cooking oils to biodiesel, what ratio is it? Is it a 1-to-1 ratio?
It's, for every gallon of oil, you'll get about a gallon of biodiesel. And the energy content of that biodiesel is very slightly lower than diesel. But remember, diesel has more energy than gasoline. So if I have a VW Jetta, it gets about 40 miles to the gallon in town. If it was a gas Jetta, it might get about 30 miles to the gallon. It's that large of it's about a 30%, 25 to 30% better fuel economy on diesel engines than gas.
Okay. And Mike, is anything happening yet here?
Well, it's changing color. So we've
is.
got some color change. And the temperature, let's check the temperature out. This is just a turkey thermometer, pretty easy to come by these days, and the temperatures should be right around 140 degrees Fahrenheit, which is pretty hot.
Is there any chance of this combusting?
Not likely. Although there is methyl alcohol in there, so it is flammable. When in our biodiesel plant, we have to take that methyl alcohol off, because you don't want a pre-ignition in a diesel engine, that's for sure. So it is flammable, but when diesel and biodiesel are both combustible, they're not flammable. So they're a little less hazardous than gasoline. Okay. But we'd probably want to give this a couple of minutes and then let it settle off, and we'll have a good shot of what that looks like.
Okay, okay. And what is the source of your used cooking oils for your plant?
We pick up cooking oil at over 200 restaurants here in Tucson. So restaurants, schools, cafeteria facilities. We actually pick up here at the university, at the University of Arizona Student Union as well. So any places where you have used cooking oil fryers. Also oil that's gone out of spec. Some food makers, like there's a bean plant here in town, they make refried beans. They had some oil that was out of spec. They said, take it off our hands, or we want this much for it. So that's how.
Mike, the ingredients have been mixing for a while. What's the next step?
I'm just going to hold this up here so this thing will stop boiling. And you're going to start to see, you can see it's a little bit clearer at the top there than at the bottom. And at the bottom, in another minute or two, you're going to see a nice orange layer of that glycerine. So we got a nice big layer of glycerine. So that's the denser material that doesn't tend to, is good for the engine. That's why you don't want a cooking oil in your engine. You want to run biodiesel in your diesel engine.
And that brings up another question, Mike. Do you run straight biodiesel in a car, or do you mix it with regular diesel?
It's a good question. Some of the purists like to run 100% biodiesel in their old Mercedes. There are some engine manufacturers like Kubota, which manufactures tractors, where you can completely use 100% biodiesel. On most engines like Ford, Chevy, and Dodge, they allow a 20% blend for their warranty on their diesel engines, so B20.